onboard ports.
I know. Well, I had this USB hub, and that helps. So for those of you using like Yeti microphones and stuff, you'll get this little hiss in your microphone. And if you put it in a USB hub, a powered hub, it removes that noise that comes off of your PC. However, if your USB hub dies in a horrible way over the weekend and you don't know about it, any device that was plugged into the USB hub starts flickering, and so I lost my Stream Deck. Poor little guy.
This sounds like the perilous story of a finicky high-end custom rig.
Hey, this is not a well, okay. I may have spent a little too much money on my computer setup, but it is the way I want it. I've got buttons I can push. They're custom, and for years I've been able to just reach on my desk and just be able to tap a button, and that's how I can do some of the cool things I can do here. Now I actually have to reach to my mouse and click through. So if you guys want my different backgrounds, I've got to, like, if I want Star Wars or the beach, I've got to actually have to click here. If I want to record, I have to select it from a menu. It's just
that mouse button's just so complicated.
Oh, it is. It is. It's a whole 6 inches away from my stream.
I like Bob's comment here. Finicky, high end, but not the rig.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
That is spot on.
High end, I'll take it. Oh yeah, Focusrite. Yeah, my Focusrite 2i2 bit the dust. Actually donated to a friend of mine because one of the ports still worked on it. So I moved. For those of you who want to kind of know Adam's breakdown of my setup, I have a Rodecaster, I have a Stream Deck, and I have a Camlink 4K hooked up to a DSLR. Now the advantage to this setup is that when it's working and it's in place, it is, as you can see, the lighting is great. You got a lot of options on what you can do, and it's extremely stable. However, it is expensive. But you can, like, with a Camlink 4K, so put your notes down. Camlink 4K is a little HDMI to USB adapter for a 3.0 USB. I know this isn't on our schedule, but this is good things for everybody to know. Camlink 4K will offload all of that processing from your DSLR HDMI port into a virtual camera on your PC. Yeah. And then your PC does not have to work as hard to render all of the data coming in. Then the Rodecaster does a phenomenal job of cleaning up your microphone. So I have a Shure SM7B here. And so if you've got a static desk that you sit at, not like a sit stand, or you're not moving around the office every day, this is a great way to meet with customers, and it gives you as real of a feel as you can get. You can tell when you come to our webinars, things feel a little different. And that's because, I invested a couple $100 into, or maybe a little more than a couple hundred over the past few years into making sure our virtual presence was as high end as possible. There's a couple things we can still do. I could upgrade my Lumix GH4 to a GH5 or 6 that's now. I can use a wide angle lens, but I have those options if you want them. So if you have multiple presenters, you can move to a wide angle lens, or you can adjust your setup that fits your style. And so if anybody wants more in-depth discussion on this, feel free to reach out. I have nerded out about this for the past 5 years. I got a couple of videos out there that explain what I do and how I do it. But I'm all about it being simple. So my Stream Deck dying today, it's like I'm missing a pinky finger. It's not necessarily something you need, but you sure do miss it when it's not there.
Yeah, and on the other end of the spectrum, you have me, an old school musician. So I pulled out my my analog mixing console here. I'm running stage spotlights around, and just some standard vocal and instrument mics. And while it's not quite as good, I'll admit it I think is a little more reliable.
A little more reliable. We've had our fair share of issues with your setup too, Mr. Analog.
Oh, was it me or was it you?
I'm just saying.
There's still some debate there, maybe.
Yeah. So somebody said your environment looks good too, but even Skip's environment crushes any of yours out there. I'm sorry to say. Yes, your video, you don't have the SLR camera, which you're more than welcome to get anytime you want to deal with the problem. But his audio equipment is pretty top notch. I did have to switch to GVM LED light boxes instead of the old CFL ones, because the amount of heat they were pushing off was making my office a sauna in the afternoon. Which frustrated the people of the office two down from me, because we're on the same HVAC system. So they'd be freezing their butt off in the winter while I'm over here just like just sheets of sweat. So anyways, thanks for the comments, everyone. I appreciate everyone being here. I was trying to toss around whether or not we're gonna have a community update this week, just because we do have the webinar here in 2 hours.
Yep.
And it's a topic we used to cover all the time, and Skip is making me do it again, because not everybody out there has a background in business. I don't. I was in college on an academic and an athletic and several arts and an art scholarship, and not a business class in sight. And I took a MBA course back in 2011. I got halfway through my MBA degree and decided that I did not want to learn about supply chain management. And so I went to the School of Hard Knocks and learned a lot of great things. But I used to have a lot more lectures built around how to do business analysis as a technology professional. Like, what are the little cheats we can do to look awesome, and things like SWOT analysis or Porter's 5-force analysis.
Yes.
And deep dives into these really easy formulaic things you can do that a lot of MBAs know because they went to school for it. But we know useful engineering things, things that actually change the world. The MBAs learn things how to change businesses and different strategies. And I'd say of the classes I took, because, you know, as an IT person, you have to drop out of at least one college before you're so successful. Of the classes I took, there was like one little 10-minute thing that I learned per class that actually was valuable and took away. So I kind of distilled it down into these little talks. So feel free to come. We've got a lot of people registered for it. And yeah, that's what we'll be doing at 3. So usually when we have a webinar, we don't do a weekly update, but we're changing things around a little bit here with Humanize, in that we're going to be doing a monthly webinar. You heard it here first.
Yep.
We're committing to a monthly webinar. So I'm going to redo the events page. I was trying to farm it out, but people wanted too much money to do our events page. So I'm going to manually build our events page, and I'm going to list out the webinars we're going to have this year, as well as the roadmap for all the rest of our community updates starting Q2 and going forward. We have it all in Google Docs right now, but now you'll actually be able to go to our website and see it. So with all that, today is the Q1 summary. So what we have is, holy crap, where did the year go? I've been kind of ranting about it all month in the newsletter. And inevitably, you get to the end of Q1, and you think, crap, I didn't get my goals done.
Yep.
How are you doing on your goals this quarter?
Oh, let's not. What else? What's on the agenda? What's the next item?
I noticed the Tuesday meeting you've been skirting around that.
I have.
So have I. And I know everybody. There's a lot of people in this week for some reason. I think it's because they're all feeling the crunch from Q1. Is that we're all feeling it. Like, we are really goal oriented here, and we have our Q1 goals. Like, one of the things I promised to the community to get out is the technology roadmap to you guys by April 1st. It's almost done. The Miro is mapped out. The devs have okayed it, and everything is looking great. I now just need to put a visual up on one of the pages out there so you guys can all see. Here are the things we have planned, and there's some really exciting things. Not just bug fixes or little tiny tweaks, but like dashboard level coolness that's coming out. Bob, I don't know if he's on the call today or not, but one of Bob's suggestions last fall became something much larger, a big rabbit hole I fell down, and I think everybody's gonna be very pleased. Maybe we'll spend the first part, maybe a we'll spend some time. I know we're spending time the third week of April, but maybe we might double up because there are a number of things I really want to go over and get people's feedback on before we finish out and start really like committing to them. Like the big release will probably be in third quarter. So end of quarter one, that's one of my goals. And I've got to get that out to you guys, and I'm feeling the pressure, and you got to start thinking to yourself, what do you do when you're behind? And I gave that illustration to show that sometimes you have to pick which thing you're going to commit to. What is the most important goal on your list? And get that win. So for me, one of my biggest goals is to get that roadmap out to the community so I can start getting feedback from you guys, knowing that, hey, we're going to be management porn. There he is. I knew Bob was out there somewhere. One of the big things is like, if I can show you guys that, hey, we're coming up with theoretically a budget dashboard that makes budgeting really easy. You guys can tell me what it is that you guys do in your activities with your clients that would make this a slam dunk. If we're going to be coming out with a better way to do X, Y, or Z, you can give me information on that. That then helps with retention, helps you guys feel like you're being heard. And that is one of my major goals this quarter. And so I prioritized that this week to make sure that one was going to land. The other ones are like sitting at like 75 to 90%. But that one was very important to me because I feel like I want to prioritize what the community wants. And as members, I want you to feel heard and see that we're moving forward. Yeah. So with your goals, yes, you're going to fail on some, and you got to be okay with that and commit to accomplishing the one that's the most important.
Yeah. And, and kind of pile on here a little bit, it just life happens. Right. And so, my call just before this one, they had to cancel. Someone else had to cancel earlier this week. Technology happens, fires happen. We got to take care of those. And we need to build that into our understanding. But just like Adam was saying, setting some priorities. And so that's why I'm always so big about build out your playbook and don't necessarily just put 4 QBRs in your playbook. Let's put some other items in here so that when we do have availability and things are what we feel like are on track a little bit more, then we can hit those additional items. But you need to build some fail safes in there, I guess, so that if you feel like, hey, this quarter we had, double the number of cyber incidents, and so we had to, fall back and do this, you can still hit what's really, really important. And those playbooks and the plays in those will help you line those out. But more than anything, I think we start the beginning of the year with these great ideas. And then the tickets start coming in, the phone calls start coming on, emails, and it really can derail us. But we have to be very, very intentional about what is most important, what is important, and what is nice to have. And you kind of, go through there and rank those and focus on what's really, really important, and having some sort of quarter for most of your clients, not all of them obviously, but for most of your clients, having some sort of quarterly engagement that you can sit down and talk about what went well, what didn't go well, what do we need to do next. Yep. At the very least, we've got to prioritize that so that your quarterly review that you have once a year doesn't become common practice.
Yeah, and the thing that people like, Bob's little comment down here, management porn, makes me want to call out this before we move on to the next topic is, don't make your quarterly goals meaningless. Make them meaningful by aligning with what does the client need. Now, if you have your internal goals, so a lot of times we have what we call as our internal goals with how are we developing out ourselves. Like Adam Walter wants to attend a webinar on better cash flow, organizational standards, whatever it is. That's a personal development goal. Then there are my membership goals. Like, am I going to help the community and the members in our business? That is a different kind of goal. Then there is business building goals. I want to raise my ARR by 20% in 2022, whatever the goal is. So you look at the different areas, and they need to have some kind of impact. So don't just make a goal for it to be a managerial checkbox, but say, man, it'd be great if I could have that done by this quarter. And do something for yourself, something for your company, and something for your clients. And that's a great way to like map out meaningful goals. And then if you get to the end of the quarter and you're like, crap, I did not get my goals done, you decide, well, where do you want to have the impact? Which goal is going to have the impact that's going to be the most meaningful? And maybe you have to sacrifice your personal goal of going to that cash flow webinar so that you can meet a member goal, because your clients are very important to you. But then you met your member goal this quarter, maybe next quarter, focus on yourself, because you got to build all three areas.
And one tip to apply here, we started with this SMART goal sort of methodology many years ago, and sometimes it's a bit laborious, but I think it's really valuable too. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based. I kind of forget on those. And I usually, if you've sat in on any of my goal setting sessions with you, I'm usually shooting for 3 or 5, but being able to break down your goals and be specific about that. We've told you guys, we're big traction adopters. And so we've got rocks set out. And I know there's a few times I've put some really cool rocks. I thought this is really great. And Adam starts picking them apart. Is like, all right, so how are we going to measure this? And I wish I could remember what the example was, but it was really enlightening, because what I thought was a really cool goal, but after Adam picked it apart, we came to the conclusion that I was never going to be able to mark that goal as completed. It was a great idea. It's a philosophy to work towards, but it wasn't an obtainable goal. So,
so a good example, I think, is like Skip wants to make community members happier.
Yeah.
That is a great, noble goal.
Yeah.
But how?
And how are we going to measure that?
You ask that question.
Yes.
And now it's like, well, I want to make members happier by, I know a lot of people are really annoyed with, or I'm going to make users happier by raising the activity level. Something where I say I have hit 80%, or I have reached out to 5 members and gotten a compliment back, whatever it is.
Yep.
Something where you can finally say, nope, I'm done. I got those 5 things done. And so you want to assign a number to it. And so if but keeping that original, I want to make members happier in mind, is there an activity you can accomplish to get that done? So if you look in the non-hour newsletter, you can see that we have distinct SMART goals in there as examples, and you can use those to attain your own goals. And we're going to consistently talk about them. If you follow what we're doing in the community, you'll accomplish those goals. Like right now, it's pick 3 clients, fill out the infrastructure report for them before the end of the month. You'll be done in an hour.
Yep.
No problem. Get it done. And so then you can say you accomplished something. That's your SMART goal. And by having that done, now next quarter, when we ask you to get your service reports done, you're going to say, oh, I'll just go grab those other 3 clients. I've already built them. I've already got that win under my belt. And you can say done. And now if you say, I'm going to do infrastructure reports this month or this quarter, what's the win there? How many? When do you know you're done? And so there are great ideas for your goals, but if they don't have that SMART methodology, that specific, measurable, attainable, timely,
realistic, and time-based.
Realistic. If you don't have all of those components to it, you're going to end up with these goals that never get accomplished.
Absolutely.
They just kind of hang out there, and they nag at you, and they weigh on you, and they cause you stress.
Yep.
So,
and as you go through those, like I said, Adams is pretty good about picking apart mine. So on being the receiving end of that and going through a lot of onboarding sessions, I have kind of developed that skill set as well. So if you want someone to kind of pick apart your SMART goals, feel free to reach out to us. That's fun stuff, and And obviously, we want to provide, whatever resources we can. The tool does a lot. And so if you're needing some help in saying, all right, I got this idea, but how would we measure it? How would we, make it time-based? We'd be happy to help you out with that any way we can.
Yep, that's what we're here for. And so, the other thing that I'm going to leave you with, what to do when you're behind: accept failure. Look at the goal and say, I am not going to accomplish that. And be okay with that. And then when you set the next quarter's goals, review that and say, is that still a realistic goal? Is it hit the R? And can I do this? It may be something you have to move to a long-term goal rather than a quarterly goal. And that's okay. Accept that. Accept that you're not going to get this done. Communicate that you're not going to get it done, and either set a new timeline for it or put it to a long-term goal. And so that way, when you're behind, you don't end up with this pile. And you'll hear me talk about the pile or the heap that engineers deal with all the time. It's this pile that continually grows. You shovel one more thing onto the pile. It needs to be done someday. And someday is the enemy, because that pile is always sitting over your shoulder. You want to go take a vacation? Oh, there's too many things to do.
Yep.
Accept that you won't get something done on time, and communicate it and reestablish a new set of goals or expectations around that goal. And then you will be freed up to focus on what matters right now. So every once in a while, I have to say, I'm not going to accomplish this goal, and I push it off to the side, and it goes to long term, and I'll revisit it again. Like, that's a great idea. It's just a not now idea. That's why in the strategic report, we have the Eisenhower matrix that you guys can use to review your own goals and your client's goals. Like, oh, that's a great idea, just not right now.
Yep.
So the last thing that we need to talk about is something very tangible for a lot of you, and we don't talk about it enough because I don't use it as often, but I know a lot of you love it. But at the end of the quarter is the perfect time to snapshot.
Yes.
So once you've finished up that architecture report or the infrastructure assessment, am I showing my screen?
Yep, we got it.
I can't tell. I don't have my buttons. So up here at the top right is a whole bunch of things that some of you who are newer to the program maybe don't know about. The public share button. Now, this allows you to create a link that you can share, that it's a unique link here, and you can go in and your client can see this, or you can attach this to a ticket that shows this is where the client is as of April of 2022. No one can ever change this forevermore. This is frozen, a snapshot in time of this particular client.
Hold on, Adam. So there's a small little difference here. So Adam's talking about the snapshot, so he's on the right track. But the link he actually shared there was to the live report. So there's a little process there. Make sure that you create the snapshot and then you share the link to the snapshot. Otherwise, your clients will be able to see the live report, and they'll start seeing your work in progress as you amend things and change stuff, getting it ready for the next report. So the functionality, it's all the same there, exactly as it's showing you, but just make sure you take that snapshot and then share that report. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Some tips and tricks for you, those of you who are newer or have not used the snapshot function very extensively. Notice how much stuff I have in here. I've got the full-on audit here, and I've got recommendations down. I can push whatever I want here. If I want to change that, you come over to your original report, you pin this because this is annoying, and you hide the sections that you don't want your client to see. Yeah. And so you might
or you maybe reveal additional sections that you didn't want to cover in the report, but you want to leave information behind. The top candidate for that is the project scopes. That if you have 15 projects on the roadmap, you can have 15 service cards listed out there. That's a lot of information, and that's not always something that you want in your live engagement, but it's definitely something that you would like to leave behind for additional reading information. So you can really control that narrative in that, hey, we want to share more information, or we only want to share a subset of information.
So there are two, as Scoop was saying, there's two things that happen here. One is we have the public share, so we can see now, I've got another public share here. And you can see on this particular one, there is no assessment. You cannot see my individual scores. It's a simple, like 1-2 pager. This is very easy for your client to read and digest. And this is kind of what I recommend. Once you've done a QBR and you've taken your notes in here, I recommend this kind of view.
Yep.
And your client will appreciate it because it's a very distilled version of what needs to be done. Now, the other thing is, and I said the wrong word, that's the share, and that's a snapshot in time. Then you have the actual snapshot. And for those of you on the expert plans, you can create a CES activity for the snapshot. Who did you meet with after the QBR? And add them in there as a contact. What was the date of it? When did you meet? So today, for instance. And call this, Q1 QBR results. And we said, okay, that is, once again, this is frozen in time, and you can now switch back to the live report. But when I create I can create another public share from this particular version, and this one will never, ever, ever change. Again, you can never change this, but you can always share. Here's where we were in Q1 of 2022. So 3 years from now, you need to go back and look at that snapshot, or you want to compare it to where they are today. There are tools in here where you can compare where you were then and now. And so,
and there's another cool feature in the snapshot. It is static. You can't change anything while you're in a snapshot, but you still have the ability to reveal or hide different sections. So if your snapshot has too much or too little information, you can change what is visible and then share that out with the clients. So if you want to maintain your live link that's got basically everything in it, but then when you create a snapshot, share a subsection, you can do that, or vice versa. The flexibility is up to you and how you want to do that. But those snapshots are really, really important. And there's a timing on those snapshots as well. So it needs to be done at the very end of your engagement. So, back in the olden days when we actually all met in one room, around a big table, I think they call it a conference table. When we actually did that, I told everyone the time that you want to take that snapshot is when everyone's putting their hands on the arms of the chair and they're about to get up. Because everything from that point on is work material into the next engagement. All right, it's discussion. The conversation down the hallway or in the parking lot is all building into your next engagement. So make sure you take those snapshots at the very, very end of your client engagement, and then all the work that you do after that engagement will begin to show up in your next engagement. And just as Adam is demonstrating here, now we can start comparing these things. We're getting some projects done. We've got, whatever's going on, we get to move the needle. And this really becomes a progress over time and a great way to showcase what you're doing for your clients.
Yep. So this quarter we finished up the Office 365 deployment. So you can see the needle moved up.
There we go. See?
And so you can compare this to 2022, 2021, wherever you took a snapshot. If you take one every quarter for your bigger clients, take one every quarter and they can see that needle moving up. If you take one once a year, then your smaller clients can see that, hey, things are improving with them over time. They don't want to switch from you. They don't want to lose their progress. That's it. There's that stickiness with it. But this is a little tiny thing that you just got to remember we have available. And there's lots of things like this in the managed services platform where there are lots of little features in the tool that make things really nice for helping you understand where you are at the end of a quarter and how your journey with your customer is going. So keep that in mind. That's in the appendix. I put this down in the appendix for a reason. It's not necessarily something that a client needs to see every time, but it is great for a review. And when you take a snapshot, those things become available. Yep. So I highly recommend you get that in your report. Take your snapshot when you have ended a quarter, done your goals, gotten what was accomplished or not accomplished, and now you can move forward.
And now we've been, talking with a lot of members. I know a lot of you in this Q1, you've taken the opportunity to redo your reports. You've made some changes, or you're switching to maybe the HIT framework, or whatever it is. And so you've launched Q1 in 2022 with a different report than you met with your clients with in Q4 of last year. And that works fine. There's another widget in there called Report Score Compare.
Yep.
A little odd structuring to that title, but anyway, I think that's a holdover from what we call it, Hunglish. So anyway, the Report Score Compare widget will allow you to do the same sort of graphical comparison between snapshots. You can compare various reports. And so if you're, and I've worked with, I don't know, it seems like the last few weeks I've been working with 3 or 4 different members who are doing this exact thing, and they're comparing their new report to the old report they closed out in Q4. And again, all the valuable assets of, showing the progress that you have with clients, how you can move that around, that is really, really valuable. And then it's not just necessarily, maybe you're not comparing the old infrastructure report to the new infrastructure report. You can compare all of your reports like Adam's demonstrating here. So this is a great spot for, we kind of started out the meeting talking about missing goals, but I'm looking over the list. I know not all of you are missing your goals. So if you've been hitting those, you've got great supporting material to show your clients and say, look, this is what we've been doing. This is the progress we've been making. So you're in a great spot.
Yeah. So this, again, Report Score Compare, just kind of, thanks for the reminder, Skip, is comparing the reports. So 2022, 2023. So at the end of the year, we'll talk about this in December, closing out a report for the year. You can roll it into the next year, or you can start a new report and start recording the new project roadmap. And we'll talk about that towards fourth quarter of this year. But if you want to compare the snapshots within a report, you use the Score Overview widget, which allows you to compare the history of snapshots in this one report.
There you go.
So that's your little tidbit knowledge there. If you want to micromanage your scores and really give that fine-tooth detail into what's going on with your clients, those are your 2 tools for comparing. So at the end of the quarter, after you've rolled up your goals, you have met with your QBR, snapshot. Even if you don't use a snapshot it anyways.
Yes,
It's
please.
It does not hurt anything. It does not create a burden on our systems, but you will always have that for your client. So you can show where you were at one point. So you can show growth. And that's the big thing we want to have everybody know is show growth. So wrap up your Q1 by snapshotting and sending that to a ticket or to your client saying, hey, the quarter ended. Here's where we ended. We're looking forward to this next quarter and what we're going to be doing. And with that, next week, we'll be finalizing how to kick, or not finalizing. Next week is our last meeting of March of quarter 1, which means that we're going to splash off and announce what quarter 2 looks like, how your report should kick off, and how to get your clients to buy into more projects in quarter 2, because the services quarter is going to be huge. Once you know what your client has, you're now going to show them how you're going to care for it. And with this quarter comes a lot of baggage around what the previous expectations are from the clients, what their future expectations are, and how you can shift that to be a better relationship.
There you go.
And if anybody's ready, I'm gonna prepare for this QBR or this webinar, and we'll see whoever's going to be on there at 3:00 Central. How to be a better businessman as an engineer.
So yeah, I just in case someone joined after I put it out there, I dropped the link for that to make it really easy for everyone in the Zoom chat. Oh, I need to do everyone, don't I? Not just Richard. Hang on. There we go. All right. So everyone's got the link there in the Zoom chat if you haven't already signed up for that, or if you've got some team members. So maybe a technical lead or something, and you need to kind of help develop them into these business conversations. this would be a great one. I feel like this is experience for me because I very much came out of the technical world and knew nothing about business for quite a while, it seems like. And, I struggled in how to transition into some of these business conversations. So we'll touch on some of these things.
All right. We'll see everybody later. Thanks for joining.
Thanks.